Hello folks, welcome to Harmonic Applications, a Triad Pairs workshop. Before we get started, I just want to plug some of my educational materials, which people have found very helpful in reference to what we're going to discuss today. The first book that I've written is called A Guide to Developing a Chromatic Approach to Improvisation. And that's something which is going to help you get your chromaticism in order. And that's really important because eventually we're going to start talking about chromaticizing these triad pairs. The second book I've written is called Triad Pairs, the First Step, and that's an introductory book in respect to just learning about what a triad pair is and how it works. We're going to discuss some of that material today. Most relevant to today's conversation is probably my third book, Triad Pairs Harmonic Foundations, and in this book I lay out every single triad pair in respect to common scales in the jazz language. Okay, so for example, I take the triad pair that we're going to do today, and then I show you every single harmonic application in respect to that. There's also three 2 chorus full-length etudes. Okay, so also, if you get through this workshop, I'm going to embed a discount code within the workshop that you can use to get 20% off any one of these products, or all of them, when you order. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is the C major to D major triad pair. And this is 2 major triad pairs a whole step apart. I believe that this is the first one that everyone should be working on in 12 keys. It's got a lot of harmonic applications, and the fingerings are fairly easy. Now, I realize that this is probably old hat for a lot of you, but please try to understand, when I started the group, I had less than 500 members. I just looked today, and there's over 2,000. So many people, if not the majority of people, have not really been introduced to this concept. So hopefully you'll get something out of this regardless. However, I will, if I get a good response from this workshop, if there's feedback, if people are participating in some type of discussion, I will do a second workshop on a different triad pair. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do before anything is get this triad pair down in all positions of the guitar. So I've given you the fingerings in the PDF, and now I'm going to demonstrate them for you. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go through each position very, very slowly. Once again, C major to D major, major set of triad pairs a whole step apart. We're going to start in the second position. Okay, now we're going to go to the fourth position. Now we're going to go to the seventh position. Okay, now we're going to go to the ninth position. And now we're going to go to the 11th position. Okay, so that's all the positions. Once again, transpose them into all 12 keys and make sure that you have full coverage over the neck. And I've actually provided a little chart for you to kind of check off all the keys in the booklet, so you can use that to kind of keep track of where you are. Okay, so now that we've laid out a triad pair across the neck, the next thing that we want to do is kind of think about how we can apply this harmonically. Now, if you open up your PDF, you can see a page which comes directly from my book, Harmonic Foundations. And you can see a wide array of applications. And this, admittedly, is very daunting at first. Okay, so let me tell you what I personally do when I approach a new pair that I want to experiment with. I look for three main functions, and that's a Lydian function, a Dorian function, and an altered dominant function. Okay, so Lydian, we need to define when we would apply that. So that's different from a regular major chord, which might be the one chord of the key and a chord that's getting resolved to. A Lydian is like a lingering major seventh, or it could be a 6 or a 9, or a sharp 11, okay? And it's not the root of the key. It's either the 4 chord or a random chord that's not functional in the harmony, okay? So what we want to do is apply this triad pair to C Lydian specifically. So if you take a look at the chord tones of the triad pair, you could see C is the root, E is the third, G is the fifth, and then the second triad in the pair, you have the ninth, the sharp 11th, and the sixth. Okay, so this is a wonderful pair to use in the Lydian context. What I want to do now is show you some ways to create 4-note clusters utilizing this concept. All right, so now I'm going to show you a couple things that are going to help you get 4-note cells rather than just a series of triplets. You know, if we just play triad pairs straight ahead, we're going to just get, you know, that kind of thing. And even if we put that into an 8th note line, it's rather awkward sometimes, and it's quite limiting. So going back to sort of our concept of addressing specific chords with a triad pair, what we want to do is we want to look at the parent scale, or what I call the area of activity. We were just talking about Lydian, for example. So we know that in the Lydian-based concept, we have, in relation to the C, for example, we have the 6th available of the C. We have the sharp 11 available. We have the 9th. Okay? And so we can utilize those within the context of a triad and get some really interesting sounds just using some of this basic extensions, you know, some of the basic extensions here. So like for that, like that, for example, you know, you put the 6 on top. That's always, you know, you're going to get more of a pentatonic sound. Okay. Obviously, another thing I should have said probably straight off the bat is you can double the root, or you can double the bottom of the inversion. That's like really popular kind of way to do this too. You know, like if I start with this inversion, E, G, C, right, I can get the 4-note cluster there. See? That's putting them together. Okay, so basically what I do, and this is going to apply to altered dominant chords, this is going to apply to Dorian, which we'll look at in a second, is I look at the parent scale and I look at what tensions are available based on the function of that area of activity. Now, like I said before, this is a Lydian-based concept here, right? So I'll be looking for that sharp 11, right, off of the C. It's naturally occurring within the D, right there. I can utilize that for sure. That's just something to think about, and I show all the permutations of the 4-note cells in the book, The First Step. Okay, so take a look at that. There's 24 permutations for each 4-note cell. Okay, because this I found to be a huge game changer for me in terms of constructing angular lines and just expanding the sound of the triad, so it's not so boo da dee da 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 da, that kind of thing. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's look at the Dorian context, and this is going to be one of the more common things that you're going to want to work on your triad pairs over. Okay, so if you look at the top line here, which is taken from the PDF, you can see that A minor is the Dorian context for this particular triad pair. Okay, and it works brilliantly. It comes out of the key of G. If you look at the triads themselves, you have the flat 3, the 5th, and the flat 7th in respect to the C. In respect to the D, you have the 11th, the 6th, and the root. Okay, and I just have a really simple mental exercise that I use, which allows me to quickly remember which triad pair is utilized against any particular chord, and I just kind of remember it by interval, you know. So for this one, I just remember that either the 6th degree or the relative minor of the first triad is, how I would use it, So, for example, like, if I have, say, an F major to G major, I know that if I go up a 6th to the minor chord, the D minor, that's Dorian for that particular context. And that's all I really do, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you what it sounds like to use this triad pair in an isolated context, just over a really simple kind of corny vamp. And what I'm going to try and do here specifically is play some lines where you can hear a clear distinction between the triad pairs being utilized and just the regular Dorian scale type of material that I might play. All right, so I'm going to have them very much functioning as a duality here, just to really contrast the sound of the triad pairs versus like a scalar approach or a pentatonic approach. So let's take a listen to that. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you today is this triad pair in respect to an altered dominant, okay? And so this one is really interesting. What we want to do here is we want to create a line which is able to go inside and outside simultaneously, okay? So this one is really easy to remember because the root of the dominant 7th that you're going to be playing over is going to be a tritone above or below, whichever way you want to look at it. Okay, so for this one here, right, we're going to be looking at F sharp dominant. Okay. Okay, so there's kind of a rule of thumb that I found with this particular thing, and it's the more complicated the dominant 7 chord is, right, the more accidentals it has, the simpler that the triad pair tends to be, okay, and vice versa. So whenever I'm working with a student and they're, getting into this particular thing, I'm always telling them, start with a chord that's really going to be more practical and common for you. So what I want to do with you right now is transpose this up to some other dominant 7th and transpose the triad pair just to make things a little bit more applicable to whatever reality it is you're probably dealing with. Okay, so let's look at a B flat 7th. Okay, the triad pair that would go over that is what? A tritone above or below. It's E major or F sharp major. Okay, so let's take a look at those tones and see how they relate to that dominant 7th. Okay, right away you've got E as the root of the first triad in the pair. Very nasty. It's a sharp 11th, okay? You got the A flat, right, which is the flat 7th of the B flat chord, and right, and then from there we have the flat 9. So you got two alterations immediately. Okay. And what's great is even just using the one triad is like got such a stark contrast, you know. Okay. I love it. And then looking at the next chord, we got some nastiness too. We've got the F sharp, which is the sharp 5 of the B flat 7th. We've got the root, which is going to give us some type of balance in the force here. And then we got the sharp 9. Yeah. So we got a lot of nastiness going on here. You put them all together, and you get a line which can really weave in and out in a very, very interesting way. Okay. Okay. So that's where you're going to get a lot of that outside sound, okay? So let me give you one more tip in terms of creating the four note clusters we talked about, and that's using a chromatic, okay? Now, I've got a whole book coming out about chromatic approaches in respect to triad pairs, but let me just give you the first step of the chromaticism, okay? And that's just using on an offbeat one chromatic, okay? So I'll give you an example and we'll expand upon it a little bit here, okay? So let's say we're going to use this triad, okay? We're going to go E up and then F sharp down. Say we're getting into that triplet thing. And it's not going to really work for us too well. It's just, you know, it's okay, it's fine. It's just awkward, you know, if you're getting into those like higher tempo bebop lines. It's I don't know, it's not going to work long term, so we want to add something here. Okay, so what we're going to add is a chromatic leading into the second triad. Okay, so 1, right, and then I'm going to go. Okay, so see what I did there? Okay, I went up, and then I went a half step above the 5th of the F sharp, and then back down. Ooh, nice. Okay. Okay. Now watch this. We're going to go into B flat, let's say. How about 1.5 step below the root? See? Sorry. Yep. Okay, there you go. So there you see, we just expanded that line. We made it like a straight 8th note line, but you can clearly hear the chords really on the strong beats. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there for that, and then I'm going to do a little demonstration where I try to play a little bit of this material going between these triad pairs. So I'm just going to play like a little demonstration, and I'm going to do I'm going to try and hit like the pair in like a simple, maybe even motivic way, and then one where it's a little bit more lengthy and connected. Okay. So let's take a listen to that. I just want to thank everyone for watching this workshop, and I hope it inspires you to explore this material further. I'm going to go ahead and offer 20% off any of the materials available on my website, triadpairs.com. The code word is Workshop 2020, and it's going to be good for the duration of the year. So until then, I'll see everyone next time, where we'll explore more concepts related to triad pairs. Thanks.